Streaming platforms might start labeling stuff as AI. Streaming platforms might separate AI and not AI. Streaming platforms might stop promoting AI music, and then there'll be streaming platforms that don't allow AI music. Whatever it is, I only think the divide between AI music and more organic music will grow. And I think we want that divide to grow. I think it's a good thing to have that division because personally, I don't think AI music, at least right now, it's not resonant in the same way this music is. It's just code. It's a coded voice, not a real voice. And as perfect as you can get something to sound, there's something about the sense of sonic, the sonic sense that I think will never be able to be truly replicated. Visually,
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Architects of Sound. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Equanimous here with us, and we are stoked to drop into this conversation and learn a little bit more about him. Pass the
yeah,
mic
thanks so
over,
much for
and
having me. Yeah.
of course, man, you would give them a little background on your project.
Yeah.
Maybe just explain a little bit about your record label and everything with that too.
Sure, yeah. I go by Equanimous. I also run High Vibe Records, High Vibe Fest. Uh, they're all kind of under the same ethos and mission, which I say is bring the consciousness to the party and bring the party to consciousness. And for me, I love to celebrate. I think celebration is very healing. And I think that the highest form of celebration is authentic celebration. In order to get to authentic celebration, I think that, yeah, that consciousness is really involved in that. And so for me, my whole message, my whole kind of like MO is to spread consciousness through good music, through vibes, through whether it's the festival, through positive affirmational lyrics, however that looks, and do it in a way that's very uplifting and inspiring and feels good to the heart and is true, authentic celebration.
Absolutely beautiful, man. It's something that I do feel is lacking a lot in this world, is this authentic expression of ourselves. And it's just beautiful that this is your mission, and it's definitely affecting the music culture, and I'm seeing it start to spread and grow. So we're
Oh, thanks,
grateful
man.
for what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So where did this start for you? What was the beginning of your musical journey? What kind of lit that spark under your ass to be like, hey, I'm going to do this?
Well, I had always been playing music ever since I was young, as a kid, all that stuff. And I feel like I didn't ever think I was going to I didn't think like, oh, this could be a career. I think just because of how I was raised, it was very much like education and this and this. And, when I graduated college, I tried starting different businesses. I tried doing different things. But the one thing that really led me through was music, whether it was teaching lessons or giving advice or playing live shows or whatever it was. And then at one point, I just sort of realized, okay, maybe the reason why I haven't been succeeding in other, areas of life financially is because music is really how I'm going to do that. And so, yeah, I guess I started pushing that really hard. And, um, you know, I was I definitely still like made music when I was younger and in college and thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I was like playing on stage and all this stuff? Um, yeah, I didn't really understand how it worked. I went to school for the music business when I was in college in Syracuse University and learned a lot. And yeah, just kind of applied those principles and eventually just started working really hard. I'll tell you what sort of like, you know, lit me up to really go for it was I was 30 years old. So this was like, I had already started the Equanimous project. I think I started that about 10 years ago, but I was 30 years old. I'm 36 now, about to be 37. Maybe when this comes out, I'll be 37. I don't know. Um, uh, yeah, when I was 30, I remember I had like no money. It was negative just from like traveling around trying to get whatever shows I could. And my grandfather was concerned and he was like, I love my grandfather. He's like, you gotta, you're gonna want to have a family someday. You gotta provide for them and all this stuff. And he basically made me sign a contract that said if I wasn't making it, and making it meaning like if I wasn't supporting myself fully in music, by 2.5 years, we got like actually, I might have done this when I was 29, but whatever it was, or maybe even 28, but whatever it was, he made me sign a contract. I mean, he didn't make me. I voluntarily signed it. That said, if I right, that said if I wasn't making it in music by a certain time, and we gave like a 2.5 year thing, that I would quit. I would quit music, and I signed that. And a year before that contract ended out, I was doing all right. And I remember it was really awesome because I kind of like got to go back to him and be like, "Hey, check this out. I'm doing okay now." That was a really beautiful moment. That one thing I think like took me from being like, "Oh, it'll just happen when it happens," to like, okay, I'm gonna work 16-hour days for the next 2 years and just make it happen. And I ended up doing probably like legitimately, I'll say 12 to 16-hour work days, including weekends, for 2 to 3 years. It tapered off after that. It was less. And just work, like everything was about how can I leverage this music thing and how can I make it work? And that's all of that work was what was going into High Vibe Records, which then High Vibe Records started to support Equanimous in a sustainable way. So that was kind of like the thing that really made me go. Yeah. I'm very grateful for
Yeah.
him and that.
That's amazing. You know, it's kind of like a practice I have in general. It's just writing down my goals, you know, like and seeing them tangibly in front of me. And it sounds like for me that helps me a lot. And it sounds like for you having a tangible contract, you know, like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the goal, here's the deadline. This is a physical piece of paper. It's not in my head. It's like
Right.
it's out here, it's signed, and you know, with somebody that you love as well.
Right. Like what it's backed by. I feel like the not wanting to let my family down. Like I had an opportunity here to wow my family. No
Yeah,
one in my family thought that I would be able to do what I'm doing. In fact, it took them years to really get it. You know, they didn't understand. They were like, what do you mean you just make your money from streaming? I said, that's not how that works. No, they didn't get it. I had to literally be like, yo, here are the numbers. This is how this works. This is how I did this. This is, you know. And so that was really awesome. Like it feels really good now. And now my family's very proud of me. And I'm definitely like the outlier in it, but in a good
yeah,
way, I think. And yeah, I think like, you know, yeah, not just having a contract, but like the core energy behind it. Like if you were saying you have your goals, you
yep,
know, I'm sure there's like energy behind that. But I'm sure there's both excitement and
definitely.
desire and fear, right? Fear is a
Yeah,
great motivator to get stuff done, you know?
absolutely.
And because I was like afraid to fail. You know, you want to be afraid to fail. That's a good energy to have so that you can, so you use it to succeed, you know?
I love it, man. I can definitely relate. You know, I'm the black sheep as a sense in the
Totally.
family
As
too,
we
you
all
know.
are. Yeah.
I beat to my own drum. I always did my own thing. My
Amazing.
parents never understood what I'm doing. I'm like, just watch.
Yeah,
I'll make it
totally.
work. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And it's cool to hear the time frame that you took it seriously, you know, like the 2.5 years or whatever, and that anybody can make this stuff work if you're dedicated and you put the time in and you know, you believe in yourself and it can work, man. And that's really
It can
cool.
work. Yeah. If you're willing to do the things that you might not want to do, you know, for a musician, it's like the thing that is going to make a musician successful. Sure, talent alone is possible. You get picked up by the right people, but music's a business. So the thing that's going to make, um, I mean, it can be a business. So the thing that is going to make that work is if you are good at the business aspect of it, you know?
Yep.
And so that, and that takes like some hard work is because
Yeah.
a lot of musicians don't want to do that. I didn't,
Yeah.
you know?
I've had my own business for the past 6 years. I build custom vehicles like old cars and stuff.
That's cool.
Been doing it for a long time now, and I'm switching to music, so I'm kind of throttling that
Amazing.
back and taking this serious full time. And so I do have the benefit of having some of the business aspect in the
Totally.
background. So I'm approaching this very methodically and making sure that, you know, I'm not just getting lost in the creative sauce and being very strategic with Notion spreadsheets and just like
Yep.
got it all laid out. And
I get it.
it's important. If you want
Yes,
to
it
gain
is.
traction and keep it going, you gotta be able to do it all. It can't just be
Yeah.
fun.
I always say like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, release independent music. And I used to be for that, but my 100% advice now is that's a horrible way to think. You never, ever want to release music independently. You always want to release music with the label. In fact, there's no way possible to release music independently now, because when you put a song on, even on DistroKid, if you're doing it yourself, there's that little thing that says label. So you have
Yep.
to put it out through some label. And so my thing is either you releasing it with another label, someone that's going to support that music, or you're releasing it with your own label. But there's no such thing as releasing music independently, because that's like, you can
It
have
doesn't
an
even let you.
independent label. What do you say?
It doesn't even let you. Like you
Yeah,
said,
you
you
can
have
have
to
it.
put in
You can
some type
have
of a
your
label.
own independent label, but you're not releasing that independently. You're releasing it through your label. Now,
Yep.
how good is your label? That's up to you. That's how hard you work. And so that's going to determine how well your track does in some sense of the matter, I would say.
So you mentioned earlier, the journey of consciousness and just kind of intertwining that with the music. And I guess my question to you is, once again, was there like a pivotal point? When did consciousness become a spark for you that you were able to connect to music and not just the science side of it?
I would say, like, growing up, the idea of consciousness was always a big thing in my family because my mother was a therapist. And just so, like, that type of consciousness, self-awareness, all those things. And then, of course, once I got into like meditation and psychedelics and substances and all that stuff, I feel like that started to open up consciousness in a different way beyond the mind. And then, that sort of gateway led me into certain philosophies. And I would say really Vipassana meditation, which is where the word Equanimous comes from. That was something I had already been presented with, because I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And I feel like that sort of like opened that. But yeah, the Vipassana, meditation for me is like so key and is such a strong part of my own consciousness and just consciousness in general. And so, there were these phases, right? You got like, you change how you party. Cool. That opens up some things. And then boom, you got your thing that you resonate with. For me, it was Vipassana meditation. And that just opened up a lot.
It's amazing. Yeah, I know that it's done huge things for me.
You
My
do
life pretty
Vipassana as
much
well?
turned around. Not Vipassana, but just
Just like
meditation in general.
meditation. Yeah. Cool.
And just being consistent about it. It's really only been maybe the last 5 years, but just having a morning routine and making sure that I'm dedicating a specific amount of time each day to really drop in and do that it's totally changed my life. I tell everybody that wants to know anything, I'm like, it's definitely made a significant difference in how
What
I
kind of
set my
meditation
day
do you
and start.
do, or what style?
So I am big into the breath work. So I have ADHD and I've always struggled with meditation. And I've found through just Wim Hof that in these more intense breath works, the holotropic breathing, that the only times I'm really able to get into a meditative state is during my extended breath holds. So, my exhale I can hold now for like 3.5 minutes, my inhale for like 3.5 minutes. So
wow, amazing,
I can
dude.
take one
Congrats.
breath in 7 minutes. So that's my meditation, and that's it's a totally different level of stillness for me that's the only way I've been able to experience it.
I'm
so
curious,
far.
when you do this, or like when you achieve it at like a strong level, are you spending a lot of time on the actual inhale and the actual exhale? Or is it more like you do that to get to this, you chill there for a while? Like, are you like more box? It sounds like less box breath, more like just hold, boom, release, hold kind of thing.
So it's just basically Wim Hof. It's like the 25 to 30, holotropic stomach, chest, deep breaths with just letting it fall out until you're, over oxygenated basically. And then by the second and third rounds, you do 2 or 3 rounds of them. But, so I have anywhere between 14 and 20 minutes of holding my breath in the morning.
Cool.
And that becomes my meditation time.
That's amazing. Good for you. What a great exercise.
It's been so life-changing for how fresh I feel when I start the day and whatnot.
Yeah, I can feel your groundedness, the grounded energy in your system for sure.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you can feel it through the Zoom call or digital call.
Yeah, I bet
here.
other people can too.
So Vibe Fest, that's something that's been going on for how many years now? 5?
This is going to be the 5th year. This year I actually gave it up. So like when I say gave it up, what do I mean by that? I, over the last 5 years, have been basically just training my staff and learning with them and guiding them and sort of like delegating and allowing them to start to control things and make decisions. And I thought sort of last year would be the first year where I fully pulled back. And I did for the most part, but I still was needed in certain areas. And so this year I've really kind of like fully pulled back. And that feels really good in the sense of like, I didn't even, I was just shown the lineup. The lineup should be coming out very soon if it's not already out by this episode, which is very exciting. But like, I did not even book the lineup. I had a little bit of influence over it in the sense of like, who are some artists? Like the booking team would come to me being like, hey, what do you think about this idea of booking these people? I'd be like, oh, that's a great idea, or maybe not, or whatever. So I was like presented with things and sort of like had some influence there over the lineup. It's still definitely my energy and my vibe, my curation in a sense of like, they were basing it off what they thought would work best for me, and they did a great job. But beyond that, I'm totally removed. Really, the only thing would be sort of like overseeing and making sure that they book at least some artists that, work for that are on brand and work for what we're trying to do. And I actually, I trust that whole team more than I do with myself in every other field. They've been doing it over the last couple of years and they've been doing a great job. So, we definitely took a hit last year financially, but hopefully this year we'll bounce back up. And, I think we'll just see what happens. But that's kind of what's happening with High Vibe right now. And this year, I will say, is
That's
June 18th to 20th in Big Bear, California. Little plug.
all right. All right. That's huge, man. That shows just your level of growth and stuff too. In general, it takes a big person to be able to identify when it's time to pass the torch over, to keep something going. We all have our things that we're really good at. And I know one of my weaknesses as well is holding on to things too long instead of
Mm,
passing the torch or asking for help and, relying on the people that are just experts in these areas.
yeah.
It's cool that you're able to do that instead of going down with the ship. It's like, hey, let's pass this
Thanks,
over
man.
and
I mean, to be
watch this thing
honest,
grow.
I really love to like I like my life being easeful and not stressful, and I like having fun. And I feel like the amount of weight and tasks that a festival comes with was too much for me. So yeah, it was a combination of being like, hey, this is going to be better for the festival if I step back. But a lot of it was driven by me just not wanting to deal with all the things that comes with throwing a festival.
Yeah. No, I can only imagine that the background of all that stuff that's one of the things I always look at every festival I walk around. I'm just like the logistics, the logistics. I'm like,
I
this
know,
is
it's crazy. It's
crazy.
crazy. My team is like so amazing too, but it is
Texas
crazy.
Eclipse was a big one for me because I was like, it's a
Oh yeah.
one-time thing. This venue, they built the bridges, they excavated, they cleared all
Yeah.
this stuff. It just blew my mind that you can put together something like that in, I don't know, 2 years or a year and a half of
Yeah,
planning or
sure.
whatever it is. But
Yeah.
it's it's quite something. I can't even imagine.
Probably best you don't.
Yeah. Well, my wife and I are talking about at least trying to do our first homie fest, and we have
Homie Fest, great idea. Homie
yeah.
Fests are so much easy. Once you go from a Homie Fest to a festival where if you don't sell 1,000 tickets, you're going to lose money, it's a different vibration. It's just a different
Well,
thing.
we are lucky
Keep it
enough
to the
that we
Homie
have
Fest.
500 acres, that's
Yeah.
easily accessible and already has power and water and everything. So
Oh, that's
as
amazing.
far
Where
as
at? What state? Or I don't even know where you're at right now.
I'm central Pennsylvania, so
Cool.
her family has a farm in Troy, Pennsylvania, so like almost New York.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. I think end of this year we're gonna at
Amazing.
least
Let me know. I'd love to play
at
it.
least try. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
sick. Absolutely. So as far as Equanimous goes, what is your long term goals? Where do you see this project going? Where do you want to be with it?
Yeah. It's a good question. Right now I'm writing this kind of cinematic dance music style thing. I feel like it is sort of shifting more into a full band kind of vibe. And I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like yet. Right now, I'm really just being present and focusing on getting this album done. I've been working on it for too many years. And it's an 18-track cinematic dance album. And it takes a lot because there's like, it's not just, there's strings and keys and all these like live instruments, live hand pans and everything being intertwined with the electronics. So it's taken a lot of time, but I'm excited about it. And it's where my focus is right now. I think I'm also focusing on sort of demonstrating my musicianship a little bit more online and coming up with creative, clever ways to do that, which you might see some of soon. And that's really that's what I'm focusing on right now, is just the art of it. And the rest of the stuff will work itself out as I sort of just focus on what's important, which is delivering a great musical product.
But I love it. In your creation process, I kind of like to ask the more like abstract or philosophical questions. It's like
Please do.
when you are tapping in or whenever you're sitting down to create, what does your process look like and where are you drawing inspiration from? Are you visual? Are you somatic? Are you, logical and very
Yeah.
mathematical about it? What is your
It's
inspiration
so
and where does it
different.
start?
It's like, I've been asked this question. It's just so different. It depends on if I'm collabing with someone, if I hear something, what I'm doing. If I'm like, oh, I want to make a track like this, then I make it. If I just hear a little melody and I get really inspired and I just go off that, there's no one answer for me, at least. I think what I've noticed is as I've taken on the name Equanimous, in order to be equanimous, it sort of implies that there's lots of different things happening, stimuli, just different emotions, whatever it is, lots of different various things happening at play in order to be equanimous, right? In order to be equally non-reactive and balanced. And so, yeah, for me, that sort of carries over to not just my genres of music is obviously kind of all over the place, but where I get my inspiration from. And, I think most of it, though, is themed with a sort of underlying inspirational, joyous, sort of hopeful feeling. And I do let that feeling drive me.
Okay.
How it comes is sort of different each time, I would say.
That's cool. I'm so like mathematical in my process in a sense, or like I haven't done much collaboration yet, so I'm sure that will change. There's been a couple of different ones, but I've started most of the collaborations right now. So I'm still using my same process and like the same inspiration and
Yeah,
well, not same types of inspiration, but I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens when I change that approach up because I can definitely see, pulling from, like you said, just a simple melody or something that really strikes you. Most of my stuff is emotional too. I find
cool. Yeah,
something
I got to hear it.
it just, it really paints a picture for me. And that's what kind of carves the whole track out is this
Totally.
one emotion or vision that comes from a specific sound.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I totally get that. I think, yeah, it's, as someone who's really just, living within the Tao, like Taoism is very important to me and I prioritize that. And I feel like within that, there's sort of a deeper system of how I live, just like everyone has their system of how they live. And then within that system, different inspirations and motivations will come and just being open to having it be able to look in a variety of ways is for me has been helpful.
In the music and festival world right now, where do you see it going, with AI and with kind of the corporate structure coming into stuff? Do you see that continuing? Do you see it
When you
changing?
say
What are your thoughts?
when you say corporate structure, what do you mean by that?
I'm
Just
talking
so I
about, I
know.
guess, some of the bigger festivals that are, you know, kind of encompassing most of the
That are,
larger
yeah, yeah.
festivals.
All right. So two things. So first I'll touch on that. Um, I think there will always be micro festivals and big corporate festivals. There's a market for both. They'll both always exist. I think it's as simple as that. I actually think that the more corporate big festivals there are, it actually supports the smaller festivals in a sense that you'd think they'd be competing, but in the sense that you're kind of like driving people to festival culture. And I think that the majority of people, as they evolve in their being, tend to lean towards the micro festivals. For example, I would say you see more people who have gone to the big festivals that seek the smaller ones than you do people who are going to the smaller ones seeking the bigger ones. And therefore, I think the smaller ones will always just be filtered and cycle through people. Now, the issue is that in general, you're finding that, especially in the conscious community, there are less and less people buying tickets to shows. One, I think because people are getting older and so maybe it's not as important to them. But the main thing is that people just got so used to being inside for virtual work that now it's not as important to go out and all these things. However, I think that AI will actually counteract that. I think there'll be now more value in the live experience as AI comes in. AI is going to be, AI is company, right? AI is business. You will have some AI artists who are led by one person. And it's like they take a lot of pride in developing this AI artist, but I would assume the majority of them will just kind of be volume number company based, like throw out millions of songs a day, see if any of them hit, take the artist that hits, develop them online, rinse, repeat. Obviously, AI music, as of now, not the best for independent artists because they take money from him from the Spotify streaming pool. But as a whole, I actually think it's going to push the industry where there will be, I mean, there's what, 50,000 or something AI songs released a day right now. I think that
Yep.
there's going to be, so I think it's just going to be more and more and more to the point where one of a few things might happen, right? Streaming platforms might start labeling stuff as AI. Streaming platforms might separate AI and not AI. Streaming platforms might stop promoting AI music, and then there'll be streaming platforms that don't allow AI music. Whatever it is, I only think the divide between AI music and more organic music will grow. And I think we want that divide to grow. I think it's a good thing to have that division because personally, I don't think AI music, at least right now, it's not resonant in the same way this music is. It's just code. It's a coded voice, not a real voice. And as perfect as you can get something to sound, there's something about the sense of the sonic sense that I think will never be able to be truly replicated. Visually, I disagree. I think there will be AI movies and different things like this that will sort of I think that will be its own thing, but I don't think the AI movies will even do very well unless they are like dubbed with human vocals. Like I don't think that an AI movie where the voice is an AI is going to be as strong. And so this is just my opinion. So for me, like AI, people are going to do their thing. It's amazing how many people are listening to AI music. They just don't realize it.
They don't even
It's
know.
hilarious. Like they're literally, there's so many people in the spiritual community that listening to these positive affirmational AI songs, and they're literally just being made by big companies that don't care about you, that just want your money and want to take
Yep.
money from others. So it's funny, it's weird, but I think ultimately it's going to push music into the direction of division between AI and humanity, which I don't think there will be a division between AI and humanity in life. I think that will actually bring us closer together with AI in a sense where we can be like, okay, this is what AI is for. We're human. I think we're just figuring out what our roles are together as they grow and as we grow.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that there's definitely going to be a period of time where it's in even music or visuals or just the work world where things are definitely going to get a little bit muddy, but I do see it clearing up. I do. I mean, I
Yeah, me
see
too.
the path forward is a beautiful thing, and it's just getting right on, our ethics and morals and how we're using this. And, uh, I feel that AI will actually kind of, as it develops and gets smarter, if you want to call it, and closer
Hmm.
to like that infinite intelligence,
Sure.
that it'll almost counter this stuff for us, right? And anything that is potentially nefarious that's funding it at this point in time, that AI will almost be the demise of those nefarious things. It'll turn around to bite them in the ass in a sense and be like,
Interesting.
so that's kind of my vision for
Yeah,
for the
cool.
the
I can vibe there.
transformation of stuff, and I try to keep a very positive outlook on it, and I don't want to be naive to anything, but I do see a very bright future for all this stuff, man. It's a very interesting time that we live in. It
Yes, it
really
is.
is. How are you on a day-to-day basis? Do you incorporate AI into the things that you're
I use
doing throughout the day,
ChatGPT
or
not for creative things, but I use ChatGPT for like, hey, what do I do if the paint is dry and I need to whatever, stuff like this. Like just like as if I would use Google, but now I use ChatGPT. I would say, and I've used this for some other things too. I have experimented making AI music, not under Equanimous, but just under other names to try to see how Spotify is like, how that affects the Spotify algorithm. Basically, I've used AI. The way that I've used AI with music is for data, is to try to get data so that I can apply it to, my own music and some of my artists' musics. It's not, it also like, even when I have made that stuff, I don't like listening to it. It's like there's something about the AI music in the brain that I just don't vibe with. But yeah, I'm not a big user, to be honest. I mean, besides what I just mentioned.
yeah, I think that's a great way to. We just have to have our boundaries with it. I see so much stuff now in general that's just like everything's just cut paste, every single email, every interaction, everything is just cut
Totally.
paste chat GPT, and it takes the human sense out of it. And I will use it sometimes for writing, but it's more so I speak into my microphone like every single thing that I want to say, and it just kind of organizes it and cleans it up for me,
Yeah.
but it's still all my language, you
Yeah,
know?
I got no shame around it. I've done that. Like, and I don't think there's anything. I mean, we're learning. Like I said, like it is a thing. We are a thing. We're learning how to coexist. It's really that simple.
Yeah. No, it's wild. It's definitely an interesting thing too to think like there's an entire generation that's being born right now that won't know what it's like to exist without it.
I know that's weird.
Kind of hard to comprehend.
Not an entire generation. Everyone forever from now on.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
like we are the
Everyone,
generation that didn't have AI. Wait, what do you mean? There were for 1,000 years they didn't have AI? Like,
it's going to be weird.
yeah,
Man, so I guess we can start to wrap this up a little bit. And my final closing question is always
yeah.
that what would you tell up and coming artist or somebody that wants to go down this path of making music their career? Any words of advice?
I got a ton. Say if you want to be a successful musician, either have a business or label behind you that is going to really support you, or be that label or business. So get ready to be two jobs. And if you choose, and either way, I'll say either whichever you choose, decide within yourself what is the most aligned and resonant thing for how you're going to approach it. Because you can post every day and share your live skills and do all these things, or you can build up your tour history, or you can do both. But I would say, like, be open, tune in to what feels right for you. And if you're not willing to work really hard, then get a job and be a musician as a hobby.
I love that. Straight, direct, and to the point. Man, it was an absolute pleasure having you on here today. And I thank you so much for just taking time out today to sit down with me and do a little face to face.
For sure, man. Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me, man. And I appreciate what you're doing is giving artists a platform, and keep it up. Send me some of your music. I want to hear some of it.
Absolutely, man. I'll send you a
Cool.
bunch over, and I hope you enjoy it, dude. Thank you for
Sounds
today.
great. Yeah, much love.